Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Baschamania podcast. Back-to-back episodes today. Is last night we had Nico join my guy Chenzo and I for some fun coffee talk. So if you didn't listen to that, go back, listen to episode 167. And to be honest, I wanted Bo to join us for a bit at the end of yesterday's show, but his schedule is crazy. He's been traveling all week. So I said, no problem. Let's do a show Saturday morning. Looking forward to having Bo hop on here. Before Bo joins us, this show is brought to you by our friends at Attack. You know I love Attack. I talk about Attack all the time. I'm grateful for them. Attack is an app built by wrestlers, for wrestlers, and for all athletes, really, but it's an AI strength and conditioning coach, a nutritionist, and a mentality mentor, all in your pocket. One amazing app to do what you need and to help you level up. As they posted on Instagram with Ryan Deacon a few days ago, with Attack, goals aren't just achieved, they're crushed. And I use the app. I love the app. You can really set any goal you have in mind, from being an Olympic champ to just getting in shape to being a state champ. Whatever your goals are, Attack can help. So download the Attack app today, ATAC. It's on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And follow Attack on social. It's atac.app, and just remove the dot on Twitter, ATACAPP. Thank you to Attack for sponsoring this show and allowing us to do what we do. Bo Nickal back on the show. How are you, man?
Oh, just doing great, Justin. I appreciate you having me back on. Been running around a lot, but yeah, excited to chat.
You're one of my favorite guests. Obviously, you're a good friend of mine, and it's funny. I was thinking about this morning, like watching your career evolve, and like since the first time it popped up 2 years ago. Yesterday, I think, was the first time you're on the show, which was episode 2 of the podcast, and it's crazy. Like a lot of guests on this show, it's come on, I want to help you tell your story. And for a lot of people, especially in the wrestling world, like it's only going to evolve if you win a world or an Olympic medal. At that point, they're already an NCAA champion. They're already accomplished so much. You're still just writing that story. And I feel like for the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it's going to be, I'm going to have to keep this podcast going just so we can keep up. It's like, when are you going to end the podcast? When Bo Nickal retires.
Right.
But dude, you've had a crazy week, an awesome week. And we were talking about maybe doing a show before your fight. It didn't work out. Schedules were crazy. I'm glad we're doing it now. I guess where we'll start, it's not really a question. It's an observation that I tweeted out. I'm not a big MMA guy, but as I've said, as you go into MMA, as Roman eventually gets there, I'm going to be suckered in, because it's like when I have something tied to, whether it's betting on it, whether it's a friend, when there's a tie, I can watch it. Otherwise, I'm not that interested in watching two guys beat the living crap out of each other because I feel bad. And speaking of feeling bad, I tweeted it out the next morning. Your transition, the 3-second clip where he swings at you, you duck, double leg him. And the second you have him down, you swing to take his life from him. From your perspective, does that transition seem supernatural? Because to me, as like somebody who doesn't watch, I'm sure you've seen 1,000 fights. For me, I've seen all the big fights, Conor, John Jones, all that. That doesn't seem normal to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting. So, I had planned basically for him to do that, literally exactly what he did. Kind of like jump up, try to knee me or try to kick me, land with his feet close together. And then I knew I would be able to double leg him super easy if I wanted to. So I just kind of came out. I wanted to be real relaxed and make sure that, I had a good base underneath me. I could move my feet and whatnot. And so when he did it, I started double legging him. And then it was kind of like when I get into like a wrestling transition, everything's like super slow motion because I've just done it so much and it's so easy. So like as soon as I grabbed his legs, I'm already deciding what I'm going to do next. And originally the plan was to like, just kind of control him a little bit, like after the takedown, and like not really try to land any punches or anything like that, and more so just secure the position. And then as he was going down, I was like, nah, I'm about to take this dude's head off. And so I just felt like with the way he was going back, like towards his back, it was like decided basically a second before. I was like, I'm just gonna swing on him like right here. And when it's like kind of when it all happens. It's like slow-mo, but it's all happening so fast that it just like was almost like that's just my natural instinct too, is what took over. So yeah, and then I mean, it was pretty much to the point where like I knew as soon as I grabbed him, like there wasn't really anything he could do. So it didn't really matter what I did. But yeah, I was just trying to you're in a fight, you just react.
And it's funny because the broadcaster had said, like, Bo does not look like a strong guy. He doesn't look like one of the, like, he's not looking like Liver King, but he said, like, the history of Bo is that strength that you don't see. And then within seconds, he's tapping. And so many little different things here. I guess we'll speak, because I brought up John Jones. Hariel Hawani's pinned tweet right now is Melky's comments that you repost in your story.
Yeah.
He said, and he said it now a couple times, so I know he truly believes it, that you can be what John Jones was supposed to be. And there's a lot of talk around that where you're not just, there's a lot of wrestlers transitioning to MMA and a lot of them have potential. But whether it's you talking about wanting to be, I don't want a UFC contract, I want to be the UFC champ, I want to be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. When you have a fight, you have 2 fights now pro, and they're like 92 seconds combined. What does that make you do for the next one? Like, do you try to top that? Do you try to, like, there is this expectation now, you got 30-second knockout, 60-second submission. Now what?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But I think, like, for me, I don't necessarily worry so much about, what I've done. I don't necessarily worry about, like, my 2 past fights. So I'm just trying to continue to get better. And I know, like, if I just get better and focus on making small adjustments and improvements each day, then the highlight that the fight is and whatever happens in the fight, like, that's going to one up whatever my last performance was, because I'm already a better version of myself. So, for me, it's really interesting. I think about, like, in NCAA wrestling or in wrestling in general, like how many matches we get, right? Yeah. Like so many reps of competition. I mean, I wrestled over 120 matches in college in 4 years, right? Like, I'm wrestling, and that's not even freestyle. So I'm wrestling I'm probably wrestling more like 50 matches a year. And in MMA, like, there's no way I'm even going to get 50 total fights, like, in my career. So I think the reps of competition and having, thousands of matches under my belt, I know how to, like, getting ready for one. It's almost like, I feel like some people, they maybe have a bad performance, but, like, that's just, like, not an option for me to have a bad performance. I've already competed so much and had so much experience. Like, there's no way I'm going to train for 8 weeks for one guy and have a bad performance. Like, it's just not in me to do that, just based on everything that I've done up to this point. Not to mention that, but just, like, how disciplined I am, how hard I work, how much, like, I'm not going to have a bad performance. And so I don't really necessarily worry so much about, like, one-upping what I've done last. I know just with what I put into this sport every single day that I'm going to go out there and have a great performance regardless of what happens. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And it's crazy too, because like you said, I would say you're holding yourself to a high standard of not having a bad performance. Because if you look at some of the fighters on the rise, like Patty the Batty is, like, him and Meatball Molly, like, they're so fun to watch, but they've had their bad fights. They've had and now they're, having their come up. And Nico was on here yesterday and we were talking about his loss to Seth Gross in the World Team Trials, where it's like, he made a mental error. He got caught. He lost. And, he wrestled Yasardo Gu, U.S. Open, World Team Trials. So it's 3 tournaments, probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 matches. But for you, and so now you don't have that. But Nico can now look at where he made a mental mistake. When you go back to training, which I'm assuming you did the very next morning, Is it simply you trying to make yourself better? You can't look at that fight and say, well, I did this wrong, so let me improve that.
Yeah. Critiquing the film is a little tough on that, especially because it was like just wrestling positions, so it's not going to really, I'm not going to have a lot of mistakes and things to go back on, but there's always little tiny things I can do better. And in addition to that, I know what I need to get better at without having to watch that film and that fight film. So, for me, I lean a lot on my coaches and the people that I'm working with. So, I feel like personally, I've had 2 great performances, but the amount, what my capabilities are right now relative to where they will be in, a short period of time, like it's like I'm a year into this, so I'm so young, so green, and I'm already able to do, what I've been able to do. So I know my potential, and I'm just going to continue to hone in on the different skills that I need to develop. And I think like a lot of people, I think that I just naturally have a good grasp of those concepts. And so, I think I can get a lot better, really fast.
Which is crazy. And I don't know, one of the things that in that same soundbite from Ariel and Melky was Ariel saying how good you are on the mic. And I've known you for a very long time. You've always kind of had that same ability. I think you, Burroughs, there's a number of wrestlers that you speak to somebody and it's like you're their friend, or like you're in a conversation. There's no really thinking about it, turning on or off. Do you feel that like when you're doing, the post press conference, and we'll talk about the betting stuff in a minute, because I love that. But like, do you feel that? And is there something that you would give advice wise to people who maybe aren't as good or are as natural?
Yeah. I mean, I feel really good on the mic just because I have a lot of experience. I mean, when I very first got to Penn State as a 18-year-old freshman, every single Tuesday we have 50 plus media in the room, during season that are interviewing us and stuff. So like when I was 18, I mean, I had done things before that in high school and whatnot, but like as soon as I was 18, I was talking to the media once a week, like normal, and at first it was weird. At first I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, these people are all interviewing me. I got TV cameras on me. This is wild. And then, after a few weeks, it's like another Tuesday. Like, so that's how I feel when I'm on the mic, in post fight or whatever it is. It's just another Tuesday. So like, Penn State definitely prepped me on that a lot. And I mean, I think that's part of just like being yourself and also just relaxing. Like, so for people that are worried about what they're going to sound like on the mic, like first off, if you're worried about that, like that's not a good thing already, because you're going to be tense and tight. And it's the same as performing in your sport. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, I just kind of relax and listen to the question, listen to what people have to say, and just give a genuine response. I think that's what's best, and that's the best way to go about it. Just because if you're trying to like plan it out too much, or you're like nervous, you're not going to be listening to what people are saying. You're not going to really answer the questions or be able to like articulate yourself well. So for me, it's just chill, relax, listen to the question, have a conversation. And luckily, like I say funny, cool stuff.
Well, and I think too, like from an outside perspective, I think you're not somebody who did a crazy amount of media, like podcasts and that stuff. And I know that people have always asked me, like, dude, you get Bo and these other guys on your show. And I think there's 2 sides to it. One is I think it is important to be selective with what you do. But I do think being selective does not mean saying no to everything. Like you have to be selective, but you do need to get experience. I think like going on podcasts, doing stuff like Penn State, part of the reason I think you guys had so much media is because the whole team is so good. So there might be a kid where maybe he's in a program where he's the star, so they're not getting a lot of media because generally the whole team isn't that good. So I think if people can create those opportunities and do the podcast, like you do a lot of media that you're not obligated to do, which I think is important. Speaking of press conferences, Dana White, his post-fight press conference. So I first of all, I didn't know that with this Contender series that like you can get offered or not offered a contract after. I didn't know that. So I'm listening to the press conference, and this is the first time I've had a lot of friends in the wrestling world have had success. You're like the guinea pig for like having a friend with success in MMA. So I'm kind of like new to this side of it. And I was stunned by how many people just wanted to keep talking about you. Because obviously I'm like, Bo's, man, why isn't everybody talking? Then everybody's talking about you. And everybody kept grilling Dana about, why didn't you give him a contract? Why didn't you give him a contract? What else could he have done? And I know you've said like it was almost too easy, you said. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, actually, like when that quote got taken a little out of context because they were just asking me about the fight and whatnot, and so I felt like I'll take a step back. Before I even got to the fight, I wasn't worried at all about the contract. Like that to me, like wasn't even like I didn't care because like it sounds weird, but like awarding me a UFC contract right now isn't like life changing. It's not like like I already know in my head what my goals are, and like it's not like I've worked 10 years to like be a UFC fighter. Like that's not what I'm really trying to do here. Like I'm trying to be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. So that's what I want to lead you off with. And when they asked me that quote, I was more so like saying I was let down because I trained so hard for the fight and then like it's a big platform, big opportunity as far as like performing in front of people. And then it was like so easy. It was almost like a letdown. Like not that I wanted to like get punched or not that I wanted it to be like a tougher fight, but it was just like, all right, I took a dude down, choked him out. Like the easiest possible.
Casual Tuesday.
Yeah. It was like, it was casual. Like it literally felt casual to me, like, which I guess is a good thing because, for me to want to achieve the goals that I have, I need to be able to do that to a guy casually. Like that, it felt like that. But so that was where it was like, I was like, it was almost too easy. And so, I mean, I feel like getting another fight on Contender series, it doesn't really, like a lot of people were upset by it. It doesn't upset me in the slightest. I'm happy to get another fight there. I have a bout agreement with an opponent already sent to me. So I'm going to be signing that soon, and I'll be fighting again September 27th on Contenders, which, it was a great experience for me the first time. And, I'm going to go out there, do the exact same thing. Hopefully, make it a little more exciting or do something unique, cool, different in this next fight. And yeah, I mean, I'll get the contract after that. I don't have a doubt.
For the fight before we talk about that, I will say too that it's funny because you could tell it was casual because of the way you reacted to the win versus like when, as a fan, I think I would always rather that kind of fight because it's just sheer their dominance. It's like a 60-0 blowout in football. Like it is fun for that. But like when you have those, like in wrestling, you have the Miles Martin match and you jump into Cal's arms, like those celebrations don't happen unless it's like a big victory, hard fought. So I think that would be fun to see like the equivalent of those wrestling celebrations in MMA. It's going to be interesting to see who brings that out of you. You know what I mean? Like it's
well, I'll say this. It definitely felt way different in my first fight when I knocked the guy out cold versus like just choking this dude out. Like when I knocked that dude out cold, it was a crazy feeling. Like I totally see why a lot of fighters and a lot of wrestlers just get addicted to like throwing bombs and punching out there, and all these wrestlers like forget their roots. Because like I felt that. I was like, oh my gosh, I am the man. Like this is wild. Like I just knocked that dude out unconscious. Like that was crazy. But so I see why people do that. I mean, I'm also not dumb, but so I'm not gonna just like forget everything I've done for 20 plus years. But yeah, that was a completely different feeling than just taking the dude down and choking him. But yeah, I, I think that eventually that, I mean, I love to sell you after the fight and be with my friends and stuff. I think for me, like, this fight was just a little different in that I was just taking care of business. And yeah, I mean, I was really ready for a quick turnaround too, ready to get in there again.
Which is nuts. So for September 27th, your opponent, how much of that will be game planning specifically for him versus going back to the drawing board with what you said, where you know where you need to improve and critique yourself?
Right. Yeah, there'll be a decent amount of game planning. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, if you're not game planning for your opponents, you're just that's kind of being a little bit lazy, arrogant, and lacking humility. A little bit of not paying attention to detail. So for me, I mean, I'm definitely going to be watching film. I'm definitely going to be having a specific game plan ready to go. So I mean, I think like in wrestling, for some reason, a lot of people, it's like, nah, I don't game plan. I wrestle my match, this and that. And I think that stigma needs to go away just because it doesn't really make sense. It's like a fake macho guy type thing where you're like, I don't have to game plan for this guy. And it's like, okay, well, are you just dumb or what? Because like you got like
Right.
10,000 you got 10,000 matches of his to watch on Flow Wrestling, like if you want. And if you want to like make sure, obviously in tournaments you can't prep for every single guy. You don't know who you're going to wrestle. But if you're wrestling a duel and you're not game planning, like you're just setting yourself up to not have a good performance and not win. Like, so I think that stigma needs to go away in wrestling. Every single other sport, there's tons and tons of game planning. Look at the sports that make the most money, that have the biggest organizations, like, in the NFL, the NBA, like all these teams are game planning. They have people specifically studying all this stuff. So, if you want to really take it to the next level and improve the sport, then you gotta be doing those things.
Especially if you're not in MMA, it's got to be even easier. Because like you said, you might have 50, you're not going to get 50 fights in your entire career. So game planning, you have one person now, you have like, I don't know, 6-7 weeks until the fight. It gives you a lot of time to do that. Now, maybe my favorite topic of the show, the betting odds. I thought that was one of the funniest responses ever when you said you basically felt disrespected and I don't understand why people were going crazy on Twitter. Like, you should be confident. You should like that was minus 3,000. And by the way, I looked for the line to take it on FanDuel. I think maybe it was only on DraftKings, and I downloaded FanDuel and it wasn't on FanDuel. But I wanted to take it because it was easy money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're going to be as big of a favorite in the next fight because of what just happened now?
I think I probably will. I mean, it was weird. So when like I saw a stat, it was like, I mean, I like betting on MMA. I enjoy betting on sports. So like all these people saying like I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been betting since
Right.
I've been betting on sports since for 5 years, right? So like, yeah, there are people that are experts in it that know more than me, but I don't think they understand. Like, first off, they're saying, oh, you like would have to, if you lost one time, you'd have to win 33 win or make 33 or win 33 times in order to like break even if you lost once. I'm like, yo, I'm not losing 1 out of 33 times. Or it said something like, given those odds at minus 3,000, that's like saying I have a 95.7% chance of winning. And I was like, that's too low. It's not even close. like this is just free money. Even if it's minus 3,000, you put $3,000 on it to win 100. Like, that's a free $100. And I think like these degenerate gamblers don't get it because they're
like
putting,
you said, the 20 plus 25,000.
yeah, they're throwing $15 on a plus 25,000 parlay trying to make whatever $2,000 or something. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? You're just throwing away money when at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm a favorite. You're going to have to put more money to risk. You're going to risk more money to make a smaller amount, but that's how you win. Like, it's the same thing. Like, if you're investing in stocks or doing whatever it is, you don't expect 100% return in one day. Yeah. That's why it's investing. It's not gambling. That's why when you're betting on me, you're really just investing. You're not gambling because I'm going to win.
3.3% in 60 seconds. It's pretty
Exactly.
good.
Like, look at it that way. Like, the reason that these people are, and I shouldn't have even expected them to understand me, because the fact is they're probably, most of these guys are losing tons of money gambling every weekend.
Yeah.
Like, they're not putting that money away and investing it wisely. So like, how am I going to expect them to understand 3.5 or 3.3% returns and things? Like, they're not going to understand ROI. They're not going to understand like what that even means, you know? So like, I think the people that understand it. The people that don't. So
by the
either way, it got a lot of
yeah. And I think it was Stu Feiner, odds maker.
Yeah.
Book. He basically said gambling was invented as entertainment for the rich. And there's a part of to it where it's like that is the truth. Part of it's just entertainment. It's the squeeze. But it is funny because when you obviously MMA is so much more mainstream than wrestling. I'm sure you felt that this week where it's like people not even tagging or trying to tag you, just being in the subject line because of the hype, because of the attention. Have you felt that already? Like 2 pro fights in, the difference between the MMA audience and the wrestling audience?
Oh, it's so different. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy for a lot of different ways. First off, like, so many people watch MMA. Like, it's crazy the range, and you know, my interactions and engagement, everything like that has been really, really high. But like, the fans are also so different in that, like, when you're a wrestling fan, generally, like, you wrestled or you have family members that wrestled, or like there's some direct connection to that, or like, and there's a lot more respect, like, for the sport, respect for the athletes. I think that people know what goes into it. They know how hard it is. They understand. And I think that in MMA, it's just like a lot of people that have never been in a fight in their life that think they know like all this stuff about what's going on, and they have such a skewed perception of reality. Like, they don't understand the sport. They don't understand what it feels like to get hit. They don't understand any of that. And, you know, there's just way less respect. So people feel like they can say whatever they want to, which is so weird to me, because like, it doesn't make sense to why people would think, to me, like, why would people think they could fight if they don't train and they've never been in a fight?
Right.
Like, there's no wrestling fan that's like maybe like 1 or 2 people, but like a very small amount that are like going to try to tell me what to do in wrestling or tell Coach Kale how to coach people. But every single MMA fan is like, this is what you need to do, or this is what you should be doing. True. And it's like, yo, on what grounds? Because you're never trained in your life and you've never been in a fight. So I don't understand why you're telling me how to do it. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to watch your career and your personality, because going back to the mic skills, like, you're very quick, and it's going to be funny to see where people, it's funny where people start liking and disliking people and where that persona grows. Like, in wrestling, people either usually love you or hate you. Like you said, there's a lot of respect. In MMA, it seems like there's a lot of emotion.
For sure.
There's a lot of emotion. So it's going to be curious to see what comes towards you, both positivity and negativity, and what the response is and how that grows over like 5 years.
I'm really interested in that as well. I feel like with wrestling, like, you know, I was definitely, as a character, a little more like, I'm trying to think of the right word, but like, I was out there a little more. Like, more people, I think, got to know my personality, and so like I was not afraid to say, like, yo, like, I'm Iowa Hawkeyes, I'm Mel's daddy. Like, I'm not afraid to say that type of thing. So obviously, like, there's going to be people that don't like that. Yeah. But I feel like at the end of the day in wrestling, people still, like, Iowa fans can still respect me, and they can still appreciate me. And at the end of the day, I still respect Iowa, and I appreciate them. And, you know, that program's done so much for the sport. And, you know, so I think that there's still that foundation of respect between each other. Whereas in MMA, it's like, if I say something wrong that rubs somebody the wrong way, like, they'll hate me forever. And it's just like, I don't really care, because I'm going to be myself regardless of what people think. And but I do feel like more people will, I think, like me and enjoy me, because I know deep down, like, what my character is, that I'm a
Yep.
genuine person, what I value and what's important to me. And I think that will resonate with a lot of people. I think the people that will have a problem with me, probably maybe their confidence in themselves is a little lacking, and they see something in me that, maybe they want, or that they something that makes them
Yep.
feel bad, which I don't want anybody to feel bad. I want everybody to feel great. I want to lift everybody up. So, it's sad that happens. Or maybe, like, people see me as a 2-0 pro getting all this shine, and it makes them jealous or feel bad or feel like I don't deserve it or whatever, which, to me, like, that sucks that they feel that way, because, I want everybody in the world to be happy and successful in life and get what they want out of life. So, there's nobody that I'm really there's not a single person that I'm rooting against. Like,
Yep.
even people that are in the same division as me fighting, like, I hope everybody gets what they want in life. And yeah, but I mean, that's just part of, like, being a public figure, and there's going to be people that don't like me for whatever reason, and it is what it is.
I think in MMA too, what we're not used to in wrestling is that in MMA, it pays to be the villain. It pays, or it can pay, to trash talk your opponent. I think people kind of saw, especially like as the rise of Conor McGregor, they saw there's money in promoting yourself, and everybody loves drama. So if you create the drama, you naturally get more attention. It's a very slippery slope, though, when you start trash talking just for the sake of, I want to be the villain. And that's going to be interesting too, is, as your career continues and you get bigger and bigger fights and you get bigger and bigger names, if you get one of those villains to try to provoke you, it's going to be interesting, dude. There's so many things about this. It's intriguing.
I'm sure I'll fight somebody like that at some point. And, for me, I like being the good guy. So, I don't really want to be the villain. And I feel like some people take that persona on because I think most people that take the villain persona on have to. They have no other choice. So they're kind of forced into that role. I feel very fortunate that people want to listen to me and listen to what I have to say, and they want to watch me fight just because of my skills and my personality. I don't have to act a certain way to get people to watch. I think that just being myself and competing the way I compete, everybody's going to be tuning in. Like, I would be very interested to see the numbers that Contender series show did. I know my fight on Icon was the #1 most viewed fight on UFC Fight Pass ever. Wow. Like, that show it did more views than any show in the history of Fight Pass. So, I would be interested to see my Contender series fight numbers. And yeah, I feel very grateful to have, like, a strong following with the wrestling community. And, I think that's going to continue to grow in MMA, but it's really nice that I don't have to, like, put an act on. I can just be myself, and I would never, it just wouldn't even be worth it to me to put an act on. So, I'm just glad that I can answer questions genuinely and just keep it real.
Yeah. Another thing that I think is great for younger people, especially, to pay attention to with you, is that, you mentioned you have a good following in wrestling. You also have a good support system around you. You posted that picture that you titled Family. And I know a lot of the people in that photo, from Nolf, Kassar, John, there's a lot of people there that are good human beings. How important has it been for you to have that strong group of people around you?
Oh man, I can't even explain how important it is. It's just like, that's everything for me, and it's the coolest thing in the world for me when I can go out to Las Vegas, and we have, like, I set us up with an Airbnb and everything. And then we got, like, all my boys there, my family, comes, my wife, just to have, like, all my people there with me. It feels so cool. I know, like, it's like, in wrestling, obviously it's an individual sport. MMA is an individual sport, but you still have your team. Yeah. And, like, I love having my team with me together. And it's nice too, because, like, it's all people that I've come up with that have been with me for a long time. It's not like I've got 5 new guys in here that, really, like, are just like trying to jump on the bandwagon. Like even the my management team and Mike Brown and Dan Lambert, like I've known these guys since like early 2019. So before I even had a single fight, before I even had an amateur fight or even started training. So it's really cool to have people that have been there from the beginning, and yeah, just people I know I can trust, I know I can rely on, and that we're all in it together. And it's nice to also, with my success and as I get bigger and better, that like I'm bringing everybody up with me. That feels good to me, because these people are the people I care about most in the world and who I love and love me. And so I want us all to win and us all to come up together. So anytime I win, we all win.
And it's funny, Don made a good joke on Facebook about it, because he responded to your dad or your mom saying like a classic Nickal journey across the country for a 60-second competition. Like it kind of does force you to, with everybody around you, embrace the journey, because I know it's a cliche, like it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But when you think about how much you're training, and even just that entire trip for 62 seconds, it's crazy. It's crazy how much it kind of forces you to enjoy the whole journey.
It's super crazy. It's super crazy. And I luckily, like you said, I have a lot of experience doing that. So that was another reason the fight's almost like a letdown. It's like you do all this and then in 60 seconds, it's like, oh man, like right. Whatever. But anyways, the being there with my friends and family, like that's my favorite part of it. The fight is great and the fight's probably the most exciting part, but what I remember is all the time we get to spend together. And that's what I remember about my college career too. Like I obviously have a good memory of my matches, and I could take you back through all my matches, but the things that I appreciate the most, that I value the most, are the times that I was able to spend with my teammates, able to spend with my family, and the moments we were able to enjoy together. Right. So like fight's just kind of the cherry on top, but everything else, like that's really what's valuable. And I'm really glad I get to share it with those people.
Yeah. And one of the final things here, I'm going to let you go enjoy your weekend. One of the things that Melky also brought up in that soundbite was that you don't just have the potential to be what he says is what John Jones could have been. Your gym is also the endless potential there. How has it been, for those maybe that aren't up to speed? You have American Top Team, Happy Valley, right in your backyard that you've created for yourself and others. How has that endeavor been going?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. It's obviously it's cool to have the gym started the exact same time my career started, so I'm a year into my career, the gym's a year into to itself. And I feel like, and I already have a lot of people reaching out to me and wanting to come train and this and that, but I can't imagine what it's going to be like in, a couple years. And
right.
Just the amount of guys that we have coming up that want to do the same thing as what I'm doing is so exciting for me. Like it's exciting for me to be able to like lead a little bit and trailblaze this, be able to kind of create this path of, coming from a successful collegiate wrestler into, an MMA fighter, and to be able to kind of outline that for all these young guys and take care of them. It's really cool. And the support that I've got from Dan Lambert and American Top Team, like literally, I can't even put into words how much they've helped me, how much they've been there. And, just without a doubt, the number one gym in the world. And, we're going to be adding to that legacy for sure out here. And, I'm the first one, but there are many more coming. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times without a doubt.
And are you involved? I know it's your gym. Are you involved with a lot of the business stuff too? Like, are you enjoying doing the business side of it?
So, fortunately, I don't have to run much of the day to day. It's I mean, with me, I'm just in a lot of other things, so to run the day to day of another business would be super difficult. So I have a great team. I have a great team around me. Marcel Ferreira, our head jiu-jitsu instructor, head coach, he's also, running the day to day of the gym and stuff, which takes a ton of pressure off me. And But I mean, me and him are in communication. And so, obviously, like, I just kind of expressed to him, and we're on the same page in that regard. Like, hey, like, I'm here to fight. He's here to help me be the best fighter I can be, and you know, run the day to day. And we have a pretty solid program going. I mean, a lot of these guys in the jiu-jitsu program under Marcel are going and competing in Naga tournaments, winning medals and stuff like that, and doing IBJJF tournaments. So, you know, not only are we going to have a crazy good professional fight team, but we also got some up and coming jiu-jitsu guys that are doing really well too. So, you know, it's overall just exciting times for the gym. We're young and we're building a lot right now.
And speaking of other businesses, I feel like it's not a Bo Nickal episode of Baschamania if I don't bring up the seasoning company.
I knew it was coming. I'm actually so we took a long hiatus from the seasoning company, but I'm making some more progress, a few more moves. I feel like I need to get it out now. It's the right time. I'm trending up. You know, everything's kind of trending up as far as my social and whatnot. So I want to be able to get it out there and help start growing it as I grow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm waiting for it. So
I know you're gonna be the first one that gets it sent to him. So
I appreciate it, man. Well, listen, unless you got anything else, I'm going to let you go enjoy your weekend. But I really appreciate you taking the time always to hop on here. Sometimes I think about just calling you and having this conversation, and I know you're an open book, and we'll do it on the podcast. So I'd rather bring it to everybody. So
might as well.
I appreciate it, man. So
thanks,
awesome.
Justin.
September 27th. It's on UFC Fight Pass again, right?
Yep, they'll be on there.
All right, so September 27th, tune in, and I hope that FanDuel comes out with a line on the over/under total time of the fight. That would be a fun one to take.
At the under, hammer the under.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, thanks, Justin. See ya.
And the beat goes on.